Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, young and old, welcome to this presentation on Avidnote, which I hope is going to be interesting and intriguing and insightful and all those wonderful adjectives that begin with I. As for I, my name is Abdurazak Adam. You can go ahead and call me Adam, that's easier. I did my PhD in civil engineering and worked as a researcher for many years, but now I work with Avidnote. I'm the CEO of Avidnote, which is a web-based application for taking academic notes and collaborating with others in academia in order to sort of create a more efficient research process. And if you look at that research process today, it's anything but efficient. In fact, most researchers till this day, they still take notes by hand. Similar to this picture here, which is taken from Einstein's office many years ago. Most researchers, they still tend to print everything out and then take notes by hand. Obviously, this creates a cluttered process, and obviously this process can be digitized, and by doing that, we can make it easier to search, write, organize, and collaborate on your research online. And that's exactly what we've done. So in Avidnote, on the left side, you can write your notes in longer format. You can write entire chapters if your heart so desires. And then on the right side, you have the PDF or the document that you're annotating. Could be data points or PowerPoint slides or anything really. And here you can colorize, you can highlight, you can redact and so forth. And you always have the documents side by side. So you never need to switch between the PDF document and the text document. Rather, you can read and write at the same time. And if you take a step back, you get an overview of all of your documents and notes and tags in one easy to use, beautiful interface. It becomes easy to search for your notes in real time and also to sort of sort everything by using tags. And then there are also other functionalities that we've developed specifically for the academic writing process, like a connection to a research database where you can fetch new documents directly and you don't need to go to an external place to find those academic papers. So essentially what Avidnote does is it's a note-taking tool for academia. And what we try to do is we try to integrate all of these different steps that are involved in the academic writing process. Typically, you could view these as threefold. So in the first step would be to find research papers. And you would do this obviously by either trying to find, open source documents, open source papers that are out there, or, through Web of Science, Scopus, of all of these wonderful tools and databases that the libraries usually have licenses agreements with. In the second step, you would need to keep track of your references. Here you have tools like EndNote, Zotero, Mendeley, and other types of reference management tools. But then in the third step, you need to sort of annotate and keep track of all of the reading materials that you have. And there are really no note-taking tools that are developed specifically for academic note-taking. You do have a lot of different note-taking tools like Evernote, OneNote, and other tools that are generic note-taking tools, whereas Avidnote deals specifically with sort of the academic writing process. So in Avidnote, you can find research papers directly within the app. So in Avidnote, you can also keep track of your references. And then in Avidnote, you can annotate in a platform that is specifically designed for that purpose. So we don't try to sort of do away with these classical sort of reference management managers. Rather, we work together with them. So you can import or export your references to those tools and vice versa. And then there are some other different types of use cases that are very common among our users. So I say when it comes to researchers and faculty, typically they use Avidnote to keep track of their research notes. So they take notes on their academic documents, papers, draft, reports, and so forth. And then they organize all of these different research projects they're involved with. And collaborate with others. So you can sort of share an entire project, or you can share a specific document to somebody else, and then they can come in and they can add their own notes and they can see your notes, and then you can keep track of everything instead of sort of sending emails back and forth, with final version 2, final version 3, and so forth. You can keep everything on Avidnote while you're working on it, and once you publish it with whatever tool you're using, if it's Word or Overleaf or whatever you're using. And then some researchers also, they use it for this purpose of supervising students, so where they can keep track of the different versions of that document. So if they have a sort of a student that they're sending them a PhD thesis as an example, they can see the first version, the second version, and then follow all of the different sort of notes that they've taken throughout that journey. And then for students, they use it mostly for taking study notes of the different courses that they have. They can upload, lecture slides, assignments, and so forth, and then take notes on the platform and invite their fellow students to join in if they have different group works and assignments. And then for people who work more in the periphery, in the academic space, or I should say more in the core sort of use cases, or the core functions of the university, like people in operations, project managers, and grant applications, academic support. They use it to manage their documents and reading materials, but also to organize different types of documents like grant applications, but also to organize reading clubs. So essentially you can say, for example, if you're reading this document, you can send it to all of the people in your reading club, and then they can join and add their own notes to that specific document. And I can go ahead and just quite briefly just show you how it looks like. So now I'm inside the Avidnote platform. Hopefully you're able to see the screen. So I can switch between the dashboard and my project. So in the dashboard, I have an overview of all of my documents. And if I search, it will search in real time for that keyword that I'm writing. And the same thing is true for the notes section. And then for the tags as well. So all of the different tags that I've created. And if I click on the tags, it will sort all of my different documents that I have based on the tags that I have selected. So in this case, I've selected a tag that's already read, things that I've already read, things that deal with construction, things that deal with machine learning, and then it will sort based on those tags that I've clicked on. But if I go into a specific note that I've created, it will then take me to the PDF view. And here I have on the right side of the screen, I have the document that I'm annotating. And as you can see, I've sort of cluttered with a couple of notes here already. In order to take a note, I just highlight and then I click. And here I can also sort of, if I use, say, a coloring system, red is bad, green is good, I can use that. And I can also draw by hand if I'm using sort of, say, a iPad or something of that nature, or even on computer. I'm sitting on a desktop currently because Avidnote is entirely web-based. So you don't need to download anything. You go to the avidnote.com and then you register there and you can start working inside the platform. So if I click on the full screen, it will take me to full screen if I only want to read and not take notes. And if I click on notes, it will then slide in all of the different notes that I've already created. And if I click on them, you'll see that I've written a lot of notes here. And in order to write, you just write on the left side of the screen, and then you save, you click on save, or it will save automatically if you just leave it by itself. And then finally, one more thing that I want to show on the actual platform is that you can also create like smaller post-it notes like this one here, where I said, this looks good, keep it. But I can also say, well, remove this as an example, remove it. And then I can change the color of the post-it notes, and I can also change the design of it. And this is connected to that specific document. So if I open up the annotation bar, I'll be able to see all of the different notes that I've made and all of the different pages of that document. And if I click on them, it will take me to that corresponding page. Likewise, you can download this. So if you do want to have it on your computer or print it out, just click on the print symbol and it will then download it. In order to create a tag, just click on tags, and then you'll add another tag here. In this case, I've already created a couple of tags. And if I want to create more notes, I just go to the note section. I click note. So in this case, a third note, and then I'll write the text here. And you'll see that it has been created. It says created by Adam, that's me. And if I share this document now to somebody else, I just click on the blue button. I'll write their emails. And then once I click confirm, it will send an email to that person, and they can start adding their own notes to the document, and you'll be able to see their notes and they can see your notes. And so it becomes an easier way to organize everything. And then finally, before I finish up the presentation, I just want to show how to use projects. So in order to create a project, you click on My Project, and you add a new project by clicking on the blue button. In this case, I already have a few projects, like my research project, chemistry papers, and so forth. If I click on one of them, like computer science course here, you can see now I'm inside a sort of a folder that only deals with this specific course. So it's less cluttered. I can see all of the different assignments. If I click on them, it will sort by assignments or by lecture slides. And if I click on them, it will take me to that page where I have this sort of PowerPoint and some notes that I made regarding these slides. And then finally, you can see that if you want to, you can also add your reference management information for if you're dealing with academic papers. As an example, in this case here, if you click on the little symbol, you can then sort of write the citation info for that paper. And in order to find new papers, you can click on this little button here. It needs to be enabled in the settings, but once it's enabled, you can search for new papers directly within the app, just by writing the keywords, and then click on the PDF symbol, and that will then fetch that specific paper into Avidnote, and then you can start taking notes immediately. The better way, or I should say the standard way of doing this, is to just click on the blue button. And if you do that, you just click on upload files, and then you can upload, PowerPoints, Excel sheets, or PDFs, or Microsoft Word documents. So I would say these are sort of the core functionalities. There are other things that I could talk about, but I'll leave it for now. If you go back to the presentation, so basically Avidnote is a web-based app entirely. We have a free plan and a premium plan. The only difference between the two is the storage and the ability to share with a lot of different people. However, for all of the different plans, both for the free plan and the premium plan, the users own all of their data. We don't own any of the data. All of it is private, so we don't have any advertisements on the platform. So there's no reason to share this to any third party, which we wouldn't do anyway. And then in the third step, everything can be retrieved. So if you want to download all of your data, you can do that. You can download all of your data, all of your references, all of your notes. And for an individual plan, typically costs $20 per month or $200 per year. And then it's free for students, and we make it free through we have collaborations with the different student governments, and then we give them a code so they can, students can use the premium version for free, whereas the premium version for other than students costs $20 per month. And then finally, my final sort of note here is we have sort of thousands of users from different universities worldwide, and are recommended by many university librarians and on their websites, including Princeton, Cornell, and others. And we are currently sort of offering different pilots at the department level, at the university-wide level, where you can have access to Avidnote Premium for as many users that you choose. If it's on a department level, or just the library, or the entire university. And these are free pilots. There are no commitments. These are typically between, say, 6 months up to 12 months. So like an academic term to an academic year. And additionally, you would also get sort of a dashboard that gives you stats over how your users interact and how they share their research. And you can see sort of the usage within the application. So if there's any interest for this, you can just contact me at adam@avidnote.com. Or just send us an inquiry through avidnote.com, the contact form. So I'll leave it at that. And thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer those.
Thank you very much, Adam, for your presentation. And we'll jump right into the Q&A here. We already have a couple of questions submitted. The first one you already covered when towards the end of your presentation. Is Avidnote a web-based app? You said that yes, it is, correct? Yes,
exactly. So it's entirely web-based, which in this context means you can use it on all different platforms, devices. So you can use it on a phone, a laptop, or a computer, or an iPad. You just go to avidnote.com and then you sign in there. Once you sign in one time, it will remember your sign in, and you can just use it across these different platforms.
Great, thank you. Another one from Lisa. How does Avidnote compare to Hypothesis as far as sharing annotations on the web?
So Hypothesis, if I remember correctly, is a Chrome-based app. So you use it like an extension on Chrome, and then it saves everything. Once you go into the PDF, you'll get this sort of annotation bar, and you can save things there. Whereas Avidnote is a sort of a full-scaled platform. So when you log in, you have all of your notes and documents and the different people you're collaborating with in that platform. So you go to avidnote.com, you don't install an extension that is sort of on top of Chrome. I would say that's the key difference.
Thank you. Another question that was submitted by chat. Does your solution work with any commercial discovery services?
I'm not sure I understand that question. Can you repeat that? If it supports any?
Does it work with any commercial discovery services? So maybe the document search that when you were searching for documents.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, now I understand what they mean. So that feature that I was showing, where you can sort of fetch academic papers directly within Avidnote, it's not connected to any of the commercial ones. No, it's connected to Google Scholar. So the documents that you'll be able to retrieve through using that search currently would only give you the ones that are freely available through the Google Scholar search. So sort of open source documents and the papers that the authors can share. That is sort of the pre-formatted one. We are, however, working on sort of integrating with databases, these academic databases. But for this version, it's not available. However, users can upload the documents that they have sort of the sort of permissions to do. We don't control that. Obviously, it's a closed system. It's not like academia or ResearchGate, where it's an open social media site. However, obviously the users would need to have the permissions in order to upload those documents.
Got it. Thank you. There's a question from Melissa. Can you describe how Avidnote functions to address accessibility needs?
In terms of people who have disabilities, you mean? Or
Melissa, maybe if you could clarify in the chat. I'm thinking that's probably what she means, but
yes.
Actually,
I haven't. I'm one of the co-founders and also the CEO of the company, and to be perfectly frank, I think we haven't really addressed say any specific needs for people who have disabilities. And if you have any feedback or comments on things that you see where we could improve upon the current functionalities to sort of better address those needs, I'd be more than welcome to take an email message from you. But I fear I'm a bit ignorant in that regard.
Okay. This is a follow-up question that may have the same answer with a follow-up by email, but there question for Sandra. Do you have an accessibility policy?
No, not currently.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments for Adam? While we're waiting for anything final, Adam, would you like to, let's see here. Oh, that's a comment about our networking event. Remind everyone to join us over on Remo soon. Thank you, Caroline, for that reminder. Adam, do you have any words to wrap up? Or actually, I do have a question I just thought of. If you wanted to tell us, how did the company get started? What's the backstory with Avidnote?
Yeah, so Avidnote started, I was working as a researcher back then in civil engineering, working with concrete and other boring things. And I had sort of the same problem that we're trying to solve. You know, you have all of these different papers and everything scattered. And then I noticed that everybody else that I knew in my sort of vicinity had the same issue. And so we decided we would do we contacted, so the university has an innovation center that helps people who wants to start something based on an idea that they have from their own research work. And that's sort of how it got started. And that was about, I think, a couple of years ago.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your product.
Yeah, thank you.